Family, welcome back to Queer News Live. You know, I'm your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, and let's get into it. That's right, family. Welcome back to another episode of Queer News Live. I am your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn. And tonight I'm excited because we actually have special guests on with us tonight. We have the hosts of Black, Gay, and Retired joining us. They've got a dope podcast and they're here to tell us all about it. And what I really love is I get to ask them genuine questions because we just met. Okay, so I get to ask them genuine questions about who they are in the world and why they wanted to start this podcast. I got a chance to check it out. I think y'all are going to really enjoy it because we do want to retire, right? I think we all want to retire at some point. And so they're giving us all the tips and best practices and things we should think about. And so I'm excited to talk to Vincent and Dr. Ed tonight about their podcast. And as you all know, please check in the comments. Tell us where you're tapping in from. We are here Mondays, 7 o'clock p.m. Chicago time, Thursdays at 12 o'clock Chicago time. And I'm excited. Actually, this week, we have a guest on for tonight and we got a guest on for Thursday. So Thursday, Mary Morton is joining us. She's talking about this campaign that's happening at the beginning of June, the 7 Days of Health. It's the 45th anniversary of the AIDS crisis here in America. And so there's a huge nationwide campaign and so many people here in Chicago are a part of it. So she's going to come in on Thursday and tell us more about the campaign, tell us more about why it's important, why we should get involved, and some of the events that they have going on in June. Okay, so tell a friend, make sure you're tapping in on Thursdays, and if you miss it, you can always watch it later, right? Of course you can, because that's what we do. A new episode did drop tonight. So after our interview with Vincent and Dr. Ed, we're actually going to go over the top queer news stories from today. Yes, because we're always covering politics, culture, and entertainment at the intersections of race and sexuality here on this pod, because we are queer news done right. And so tonight we have Black, Gay, and Retired, the podcast. Let me tell you a little bit about it before Vincent and Dr. Ed join us. Okay, they are a forum for Black gay men who are navigating retirement and those on the journey to retirement. They share your experiences and create a supporting community, right, as they enter this season of freedom. Now, unless you got a trust fund, as they put it, or win the lottery, retirement is something you should consider sooner rather than later. And I've considered it. I've thought about it. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I feel like maybe my new friends are going to tell me everything I need to know about how I too can retire. So welcome, Vincent. Welcome, Dr. Ed, to the show.
Hey, thank you, Anna. Thank you. Great to be with you this evening, I guess it is.
It is. It's nighttime somewhere.
Well, it's still, as you can see, it's still kind of daytime here, but thank you. And we appreciate you having us on, Anna.
Yeah, I'm so glad y'all are here. So you got to tell me the origin story. If y'all been friends for like forever, whose idea was it to start this podcast?
You want to take this?
I take it. So
okay.
I recently retired, Anna, after 35 years of local government here in LA. I started working when I was 10. So I retired, and I was telling my friends about, I'm getting ready to retire. I'm looking forward to retirement, all that kind of stuff. People were really happy for you, of course, congratulations, all that stuff. But I had too many friends say, that's not something I'll ever be able to do. I'm not ever going to be able to retire. I don't even think about it. I'm just going to work until I drop. And that really impacted me, really affected me. And so I was like, we as a community need to have more conversations around what retirement looks like and what we call freedom. Like freedom.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to these? How do you get to have more options in terms of how you live your life, what that journey looks like, et cetera? And so came with this idea of Black, Gay, and Retired. Reached out to a real good buddy of mine, Dr. Ed Rice, and said, "Hey, would you co-host a show with me where we can talk about retirement? We can talk about the journey to retirement, what you need to do in order to get there, and then what it looks like once you get there. If you're single, if you are a couple, if where's your money going? How's your health? All those kinds of topics that we need to talk about." As a community, as Black, gay individuals. It's kind of our origin story.
Yeah, and so like, and it's interesting because when Vincent brought the idea to me, I was kind of going through a life transition of my own, so it felt perfect because he was already there. I'm kind of on the way there, and I felt like it'd be a good pairing because there was a lot of information we can share, and you know we're each doing it differently, and I don't think there's a perfect way to do it. And so we're able to kind of have these conversations and learn about people's different, journeys, some of the pitfalls, things to avoid, and we're doing that in real time. I think the other thing too is what's been wonderful about the podcast is that it's also a window into aging in the gay community as Black men and women, because typically our culture is about youth and beauty, but everything has to grow, everything has to age. And so it's like, what does it look like on the other side of that? And so I think we also get to explore that too. So that's been great.
Aging in the gay community, child.
Baby.
Yo, the way we don't talk about growing old, and
We don't.
I don't know if it's because for some you never thought that you could grow old, right? I think there's a generation, right,
Yes,
that never
absolutely.
thought,
They
right,
never
that
thought it
they
was
would
possible.
live to 2026 in this
Yeah.
moment.
Mhm.
So I think that's part of it. I think there's like a generation where it's like I'm just still living for the moment.
Yeah.
And and not thinking about what the planning ahead can actually look like. So,
There you go.
let's talk about aging a little bit.
Okay.
In the gay community, what does that look like, child? It's so funny. Let me tell you, I came across this podcast. It's a bunch of straight guys, and it may be just gay baiting because I saw another video where they were also talking about the gay community, and I'm like, are y'all obsessed? Maybe. But so I'm going to preface this with that. But they were making jokes like they had one of them has a gay friend who I guess is just sort of what he called bummy, right? He was like, you are doing an injustice to the gay community. The gay community is supposed to be sexy and tight and well dressed and groomed, and they were going through all these stereotypes of what they consider to be like a proper gay person.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just laughing about it, and it was in good fun. And I think that's really exactly how a lot of people feel the gay community is and always looks and always shows up in the world, so I would love to know what is the reality of Black gay men aging today, and what do those communities look like? Because I feel like so often the community is always focused on young people and not on those who are aging.
I mean, I think I'll take a start, Ed, because I know you got some thoughts. I can see it in your face.
I have none. I don't have any.
That was also part of the reason. I mean, I'm also a part of another organization called Better Brothers Los Angeles, and we do this thing called the Truth Awards every year. And one of the things that we always think about is, or one of the reasons why that organization started was because we lost a lot of our safe spaces in LA, clubs, gathering spaces, community spaces, etc. We didn't have anywhere to gather. And then there was a whole generation that just died off, right? AIDS completely wiped out a whole generation. And so we didn't have lessons. We didn't have those elders in the community to sort of show us what aging could look like or should look like. And so we're finding now that we're having to like reinvent it in some respects, right? We have to decide what aging looks like in our community. And so we've been able to identify really, really cool brothers who've been in relationships for 40, 50 years, and to ask them, like, how are you doing it? What does it look like? How you stay together? And we've also found singles, who are 60 and 70 years old. And what does that look like? How have you still been able to maintain community so that you don't wind up being back in the closet? I mean, all those kinds of things we're really having to re-explore so that I think we can determine what aging is going to look like for us, because it looks like the majority of us are going to live a little bit longer. We're gonna figure out what 60 and 70 and 80 and potentially 90 looks like. So we're gonna have to like really reinvent it. And I think one of the important pieces is going to be, what does community look like for a 60, a 70, and 80-year-old, when so much of our focus is on 20, 30, and 40 and the club, etc. So I mean, part of the show is really bringing on folk who can really begin to have that conversation, and so hopefully we can all figure it out.
Yeah. And I also think we have a bit of an advantage in being, as Gen Xers, we the original hip hop generation and all that. So my 50 definitely don't look like my dad's 50, you know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. And so how we move through this world, I don't think it's going to be the same. And so much, as Vincent already mentioned, so much of what the gay community is like, oh, this young person or this, but it's like there's a section of us. And I would say probably a pretty large section of us that are actually, going to be 50 plus and everything else like that. And so, figuring out like, and we still want to live. We still want to enjoy love, sex, everything else like that. So what is that going to look like for us? You know what I'm saying? And so, this podcast was a good way to explore that. And I think to also start to kind of change the narrative about what aging looks like in our community. A lot of times, especially if you're out in social spaces, you'll see people like, look at those, look at those old guys or the old dudes over there. It's like, hold up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you lucky, that might be you one day. Like, you trust me, you're not going to want to stay 30. You're not going to want to stay 40. Like, you're going to want to age. And hopefully there's a space where you can still be accepted and showed up and not shunned because you're not the hot 25-year-old. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like there's space for you to be gay and 50 and 60 and 75 and whatever it is. Cause like he said, we're living longer. The medicine and health is advancing. So some of the things that I think held us back or even, made us a little bit trepidatious about, being in this culture at this age, those things are gone. And so it's like, now we're here and we're taking up space. And so, and we're going to live and we're going to do it right. So hopefully we'll travel and retire. So, we can continue to live, quote unquote, fabulous lives that we're living now.
100%. And I'm wondering, does it exist in the apps? Like, does it exist? I know that's just a crazy place to be, but is it? Are people finding like there are people on apps? Are there community organizations that are censoring, folks who are aging? Where do y'all finding their people at 50 and over?
I'm going to say we're not finding ourselves on the app. Let me start there. But I do think in community with people like Vincent and other friends and stuff, because most of us kind of move in the same circle with friends of your own age, kind of sort of, and so I think people are finding their communities, in very organic and, very diverse ways. So, some people might go out to a bar and you might notice that that bar is frequented by kind of, men that are a little bit older, and then they may find community there. They may find community in organizations like Better Brothers where they're going to see themselves. I think people are just kind of going to places where they see themselves reflected, and, that's where they're finding community. What do you think, Vincent?
Yeah, and I think part of the reason for this podcast is we wanted to also help folk find community so they don't become isolated. Part of my great fear is that we don't want people to like go back into the closet, right? We don't want them to feel so isolated that they're uncomfortable talking about their sexuality, their lives, their experiences, their histories, et cetera, et cetera. And so part of the podcast is we're here. We're still here. You're not alone. You aging, we all aging, we go out to lunch now and, sometimes part of the conversation is how you do it. Is your back hurt? That's a little bit of the conversation now. And it's also like, look at that cute boy over there. So, it's
both can exist.
Balance the conversations. Yeah. We want people to feel like this is a natural part of life. Mm-hmm. Aging is a beautiful part of life. Yeah. Many of us can talk about how many funerals we went to in the 80s and the 90s. And to not have that as a common weekly kind of event is a beautiful space to be in. And we want folk to, figure out what that other piece looks like of life. And that's we hope that folk are getting that in our podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you're doing that, because I actually teach a journalism class here in the city. And our last cohort of community journalists one of them was a Black gay man, and he did his whole article that he wanted to report on was how Black gay men were finding community today, and how they were choosing to show up in the world. and what that looked like. And he really did think it was going to be online. And through his work, he was just, it's not. He's like, people are finding community amongst their people, similar to what you all are saying in these very organic ways. Do y'all think we are missing something though? Do you think we need organizations? Do you think that there should be more?
Definitely. I mean, and I don't think that the idea of an online platform is a bad idea. I think there should be something, for older seasoned brothers to find seasoned brothers, every Jack and Grinder and, Adam for Adam and all those suckers tend to focus on, younger guys, and couple daddies. But I think there should be something that's specific to us. And I also think that we also have to find organic ways of creating community as well. I'll give your audience a little sneak preview. Is that we're getting ready to move into season 2, and one of the shows is really going to talk about, or we're going to really discuss a bit more around religion, and how sometimes people find religion in their older days, in their as they get older, and how they're going to sort of reconcile religion and Christianity potentially with sexuality, aging, and how all those intersections are going to work. Because that's going to be something really, really interesting. I know so many people who reacquainted themselves with religion and church as they got older. So how is that going to interact with your sexuality and all that kind of stuff? So we love exploring these conversations with folk who are tapping into it and figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. And I think a place like church can be a place where you find community. I think you can do it online. I also have to say, for as you age, I think a lot of us are less interested in online spaces and definitely looking more to connect in real life. Like you take more pleasure in, meeting somebody, face to face, maybe socially having a drink or, watching a football game or, having a bite to eat or something like that, then continue to type on a keypad or on your phone. Like that's good to sort of start it, but eventually to build those relationships, it's going to be about that face-to-face, that in-person engagement. And I think for a lot of us, particularly in that age range, and when I say that age range, I mean like 50 plus, because we existed before social media, I think a lot of us are looking for that again. And, we're actually pretty good at engaging in person, where, some of the younger people is just the opposite. They've been doing social media and that's all they know. So they're good online, but in person, they kind of fumbling. So, maybe there's some middle ground there we can meet and kind of help each other out because, like you said, we're getting older. You want it to happen, and you still want to stay connected. You still want to stay involved. So, we don't want to sit in the house and feel like we gotta get old. A lot of us are active. We want to travel. You want to go out. You want to do things. So, go do that. Go find the people, and then hopefully people are receptive, and we sort of change that. Oh, he's old, you know what I'm saying, or thinking that everybody's daddy. I don't want to be everybody's daddy. Like that. That's not a thing. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I say that you're not here for that. Okay?
I'm not here for that. I mean, we're in reason, but that ain't the only thing. Yeah. Don't box me in. Don't box me in.
I love that. And I'm here for that. And I hear that. And there's a podcast I produced called Second Sunday that when you're talking about the religion episode, it might be something that you want to pull from. It's a beautiful podcast, family. If you haven't heard it, it's about Black queer people finding, keeping, and sometimes losing faith. We had 2 seasons in partnership with PRX, and it is absolutely beautiful. First person narrative storytelling podcast about reconciling. Can we reconcile our faith and our sexuality and how we show up in the world?
I love it.
Just a shameless plug because I freaking love that podcast.
That's what you do.
I will listen. I love it.
Thank you. Now let's get into this podcast y'all started.
All right.
Y'all finished season 1. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big deal. You knocked out 10 episodes and you're currently in recap mode, right?
Yes.
So the episodes are coming out again. I would love to know, do you both have a favorite episode? from season 1?
I'm gonna let you go first. I need to think.
Well, favorite episode, favorite. Well, hard question. Hard question. I think
Right.
the that's a hard, Anna. You don't even know how hard that is.
Tell me
But
too.
I think the hardest one, the one I enjoyed them all. The one that probably touched me most was the final episode, which was an episode with two gentlemen in Los Angeles, by the name of Phil Wilson and Carl Highshaw. Phil Wilson started an organization called Black AIDS Institute, and Carl Highshaw started an organization called the Ahmad Institute. And they both founded these organizations, and they both transitioned out of the organizations and sort of like allowed the organizations to continue on. And it was really about birthing something and then retiring, and how it felt to like leave your baby and to sort of like, grow your baby to a certain place, and then allow, the universe and everyone else to sort of like take it from there. And I really appreciated that, because it really resonated with some of my own personal experiences in my professional career of helping to start something, nurture it as best you could, and then you have to transition out and retire or whatever, and sort of allowing it to sort of like go forth and do. And Carl and Phil Wilson are incredible individuals. And it was really, really fun having a conversation with them and them talking about their experiences, starting an organization, creating it, and knowing when to leave, and making sure that when they left, the organizations didn't die. I really, really enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we link it in the show notes.
Yeah.
You can check it out. Phil is definitely a legend in the community.
Yeah.
Black AIDS Institute, what he started, is a pretty special place. And I'm gonna have to listen to the episode. Okay, very good. Season finale, heard.
Yes.
Dr. Ann, what you got?
There were two couples that we spoke to, and Vincent, help me with the names. I'm horrible with names, y'all.
David and Randy, and Steph and Glenn.
Yes, David and Randy, Steph and Glenn. I think that was my favorite because they are both two couples with combined. They've been together probably 35, 40 years between the two of them.
If you combine the two, more like 70.
If you combine them, yes, it's more like 70. Right. I started there, but yeah. And so just some of the stories that they shared about navigating the 80s, losing friends, in some case, losing a lover, and then still seeing them together and having, the relationship that they have, like that gave me hope. Like, the first couple you named, I'm sorry, I'm so
Dave
sorry.
and Randy. Dave and Randy, I believe, aren't they they have grandkids, right? One of them has grandkids, right? And their grandkids, are a part of their relationship and everything. I thought that was beautiful. The other couple talked about living in their parents' house and just, as they were coming up together, building up their relationship, and they gave some tidbits that I don't know if is appropriate for your show, but listen to it. You'll know what I'm talking about.
I think some people might get something from that.
And so just it gave me hope just to see that they were able to sustain and age and stay together, because a lot of the stereotypes and narratives is that, especially as black gay men, like we don't date each other, and then let alone stay together long term. Like, Lord have mercy, and they managed to hold on for 40 years, 35 years. So I got a lot of wisdom and a lot of inspiration from them and their story. So I think that was probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. Anna, can I mention one more real quick?
Please.
We also did an episode with a group of young men. I'd say in their 20s and 30s. Mm-hmm. And it was because part of the show was fun. We want younger people to start thinking about it now. Like, don't wait until you 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 you start doing the kinds of things you need to do in order to put yourself in the best position. Like, if you can start in your 20s, if you can start in your 30s, please do it. And it was really great having a conversation with these young men, finding out what they're doing, giving them some what little wisdom Ed and I have. And then also just telling them, like, it's about those habits that you can start. You can start them now, about saving, about looking at, thinking more about your career choices. It was really a refreshing conversation. And part of our goal is to, like, make sure that, we go back and we grab the next generation and we are giving them whatever tidbits we have to sort of help them move along. So I really, really appreciated talking to them as well.
Yeah, and I think with that episode, one of the best things is that, we have to remind them that one of the most important key factors in retirement is time, and when you have the time, you need to do it. Like that $20 you putting away in your savings a week, you know, it's only going to be one drink. And it might seem like a lot more, but as you get to retirement, it's going to be the difference between you being able to walk out the door at 50, 55 versus having to work at 62. And I don't care what you say. Nobody wants to be working after they're 60. But some of us are going to have to because of some of the decisions we made when we were younger. So it's like, if I can tell you now, like, do it. Like, if it's a sacrifice, it's worth it. Like do it. I'm telling you, like, do it. Because I still got to go to work, and I'm jealous of Vincent that he gets to go off and gallivant all around the country and the town and leave for 2 weeks and don't got to put in time. Like, it's a sore spot. I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all right now. Like I low key am hating on him because he say black, gay, and retired. It's only one of us that's retired. I'm literally sitting at my desk right now. So that being said, look, and now he ran away. Make some different decisions. And y'all do better, so that way when you get to your mid 50s, early 60s, you can walk away and you don't have to show up. You got something. And so I think it was fun. Their energy was great, but it was also, I think, very, like Vincent said, very important to us to just to remind young people, because I know a lot of those things, especially if you work for like a city or state or, those type of jobs, they have the retired people that come to you. And the thing with retirement is it's a lot of people equate it to old. We definitely, again, want to equate it to freedom. So if you see, the retirement person at your job, don't think that's for the older people there. Like that's really for you. Like, you were the one that should be taken and invested, because at that point, like a lot of us, it's too late. I mean, you can still do it, but it's going to be a heavier lift, whereas it's more feasible for you if you are a little bit younger. So if those people, Merrill Lynch, whoever, they show up at your job talking about retirement, like, pull up a chair, listen, see what they have to say. So
in those first 2 episodes, what I'm hearing are about the possibility models, the possibility to build something and to be able to leave it a legacy, right?
Yes.
The possibility of being in these long-term, beautiful relationships that are not easy, but you choose to wake up every day you choose this person every day. And it's not something we get to see right now, especially right now in this America, right? These possibility models of what Black gay love can look like after 30, 40 years. Right. And then I love that y'all brought young people on to talk about retirement as well. There's entrepreneurs who have to figure it out. There's people in corporate who got to figure it out. There's so many ways that we show up making money today that are so incredibly different than the way our parents had to make a living and show up for us. And thinking about what that looks like for all of these different types of ways we show up and make money today, I think it's just so important, because it is so easy to think you don't have enough.
Yeah.
It's very easy to think like you're not making enough to do X, Y, and Z, when in fact, it is about the choices we make and the things we decide to spend our money on every single day. Yeah, this has just been lovely. And I don't know where the time went, but we've been here for about 30 minutes.
Really? I don't feel it. I didn't feel it. I feel like we was just warming up.
I did too. And we could be here all day, I see. And I want people to know, though, that you have season 2 coming out.
Yes. We're working on season 2. Come August. We back at it.
We start taping June, July, something like that. Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
We had to schedule that around my vacation, but we'll talk. That's something for us offline.
And you take that vacation, okay? Because I heard how you sounded when Vincent take his, okay? And Dr. Ed, I really want you to get yours. Okay.
Thank you. I'm glad I got somebody on my side.
Whatever.
I really want you to take your time. So what can we expect with season 2?
Oh, wow.
A lot of continuing some of the same conversations. You touched on something a minute ago. We really also we're going to talk a lot more about the gig economy and those entrepreneurs who are, as you say, not in necessarily traditional employment. And so their retirement or how they get to it is going to be a little non-traditional. And so we're going to spend a lot of time talking with folk who are music curators, adult film industry, all kinds of other gigs that we know people are doing, and we want to make sure that as you're doing them, that you're making good financial choices. A lot of conversations, living abroad. We know a lot of folk are thinking about retirement outside of the United States. And so we're going to have some folk on to talk more about where they're looking at going, why they're going, what does retirement look like for them there? What does it mean to be gay? What does it mean to be Black there? So a lot of conversations about that, and always budgeting, always finance, because we want to make sure people are thinking about those kinds of things, because it takes a little money to get where you want to go.
Yeah, and I think to kind of piggyback on what he was saying, and also help with that, we definitely want to bring in more financial experts, more people in the industry that can really help our people, our community, our audience, plot a path. So we don't want to just talk about these things in theory. We want to give you the practical tools that you need to actually make it happen. So, we have some experts on season 1. We're going to bring in some experts in season 2 and dive a little bit deeper. And, we're going to continue to try to have fun. I'm going to make an announcement here. Vincent's not going to, he might kind of squinch a little bit, but that's okay. There was a horn. The horn is back in season 2, y'all. And those of you that follow us know. And we're going to find more reasons to play the horn and to celebrate. So that's what it's going to look like. He's going to be all right. I promise you.
Forgive the horn, people. When you listen to the podcast, forgive the horn. It's an
I'm here for all the sound effects, okay? Audio.
Thank you.
Audio demand sound effects. Okay.
Thank you.
I support this, and I support this show. It's so adulting. Adulting is so overrated. Okay.
Ain't it?
And we are so ridiculously underprepared for what adulting actually means. So I love that y'all are having these conversations in our own way and talking to our people, and being relatable and making it simple and making it plain, bringing on the experts, talking about your own lived experiences. Okay, I'm listening. I got it. Black Gay Retired family. That's what y'all need to be doing. We got the ticker down here on how you can follow them on Instagram. Black Gay Retired is really just that simple. And so Vincent and Dr. Ed, thank you so much for.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna.
And
thank you for this platform as well.
Thank you. This platform is amazing.
Queer news in one place. So thank you for this platform as well. Appreciate it.
I love what I do. I feel grateful that I get to do it every week, every day, all day, and I made a choice to do so, and it has absolutely changed my life. So I feel grateful to do it.
And I gotta say, Anna, like shout out. Like, I'm also a journalist, so I see you. I appreciate you. I know what you're doing. So yeah. We'll talk offline a little bit more. But I was like, oh, somebody taught a journalism class. Like,
come on now.
Let me holler at you real quick.
Absolutely, it's my foundation. Like that, we can absolutely talk more about that. And then I've got to get y'all into the Cube. And the Cube is our podcasting platform. We're building family, right? The largest database and dopest search engine for Black and Brown podcasts. And so Black, Gay, and Retired has to be in there.
I mean, you got to. You got to
be in there. So I'll definitely be sending out the link so y'all can check it out. I have loved this conversation. The people have too.
All right.
Hey, people. Hey, y'all. And I appreciate y'all so much. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Anna.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Anna.
All right. Family, that's what we do here. We bring on people who are doing good things in the community, who are noticing that there is a gap in a service, in a voice, in a subject, and they have taken it upon themselves to make space, to build community, to do something about it. And that's the spirit in which we all should have in this moment. Yes. I hope y'all are enjoying the show. You already know I'm Anna DeShawn, your favorite queer radio personality, and this is Queer News Live. Now, let's get into our top queer news stories for this week. As y'all well know, a new episode drops every Monday morning by 10 a.m. Central, Black, Gay, and Retired in the building, by 9 a.m. Central Time, and politics, culture, and entertainment at the intersections, right? So let's get into what our top news story for today is out of New York City. And we talked about them a couple of months ago. NYU Langone Hospital, right? Tish James. May we all have an attorney general like Tish James, okay? She told them, you have to begin providing gender affirming care for young people again. It's the law of New York State. And she basically also told them, I got your back. Don't worry about the Trump administration. We're going to be good here, right? We reported about that a couple of months ago. Well, just last week, the Trump administration came for NYU Langone, okay? They demanded, and they are demanding, that the hospital provide the names of those who were involved in offering such care at NYU Langone. And let me tell you, they're not just looking for providers. The Trump administration has issued the subpoena. They're looking for assistants. They're looking for nurses. They're looking for accountants. They're even looking for volunteers. Literally anybody who may have been involved in any part of the process of gender affirming care in any capacity. They want their names and they want their records. And this is one of those situations where, because they're in New York State and they've got an attorney general like Tish James, you know that they're in for the fight. And this is just another way that the Trump administration is using intimidation to scare other hospitals, right, around the country from enacting or restarting their gender affirming care programs. You all know last week we reported about the big win, right? We won the case where the judge out of, I don't want to get his name wrong, Judge Mustafa, right? His first line of his dissent, of his decision said, unserious leaders are unsafe. Do y'all remember that? Is actually really brilliant. It's a 49-page decision that he wrote. Unserious leaders are unsafe. It was the first line. And essentially what he ruled was that the Trump administration doesn't have any right to cut Medicare and Medicaid funding to hospitals that are providing gender affirming care to young people. Like, that's a huge decision, because that's one of the Trump administration's biggest tactics, is that they will pull your funding from your hospital if you choose to provide gender affirming care or choose not to fall in line with what they deem is correct. But this judge on a federal level said they ain't got no right to that. And the 22 states that filed that lawsuit, right, and I live in Illinois and we were one of them, won that case. It is huge, right? So you would think that hospitals would feel safe, right? They would feel like, okay, we're not going to lose Medicaid funding. We can't lose our Medicare funding. We can restart gender affirming care for young people here again. But in fact, that's not what we're seeing. In fact, they are still very afraid of losing other funding, maybe other federal grants that the hospital might provide or might receive, because the Trump administration is relentless in their pursuit to really silence our trans sibs, remove them from public life. And this subpoena to NYU Langone, I think, is a really good example of what that looks like in this moment. So we're going to keep following these cases because they impact people directly, right? There's stories about young people here in Chicago who were getting ready to go to their appointment. They were literally in the parking lot, and then they got an email saying, don't come in for your appointment today. Gender affirming care is life-saving health care. And so to deny it, right? We know the impacts. We know the impacts of what happens when young people are denied gender affirming care. So we're going to keep following these stories. Yes, of course we are. And that's also what I love about the work that I do, is that I get to focus on queer things all the time. I don't have to chase the next biggest story. The biggest stories to me are the ones impacting queer folks. Yeah. And so we're going to keep following up, keeping y'all updated, and just seeing how this all plays out. Some of the strategy, as I understand it, is to keep everything in the courts, right? To get injunctions and to keep everything in the courts until we can get past this moment, right? Feels like we got a long road, but until we get past this moment, some of that is the strategy in this moment. Now let's talk about this other story that we covered today as well. There's a school in Minnesota, and they were learning this song, and it's called A Mother of a Revolution, and it's by Omar Thomas, and they were preparing for their concert, right? And A Mother of a Revolution is actually inspired by Marsha P. Johnson. And Omar Thomas talks about how he wrote this piece because he was inspired not only by trans women, the work that they did during Stonewall, but also Marsha P. Johnson specifically. And so in Minnesota, the band director, the school, they did what they were supposed to do, right? According to the Trump administration. Yes, they sent out the letter to the parents telling them this is the song that your students are going to learn. If you do not want your child to participate in this song, you have the option to opt out. They did all the things that they were supposed to do. Nobody opted their kid out. Everybody learned this song for months. And it wasn't until 6 days before the actual concert that the school district got involved. And then this picture that you see right here is the school district meeting, where they were deciding if the school had the right to still play this song. And do y'all know that they actually pulled the song from the concert? They voted 7-1 to pull the song from the concert. Even though the school did everything you were supposed to do, the school board still got involved and pulled it. Now, you might say a lot of things about that decision, and it can feel very disheartening. But I want to give you a little hope here, because even when that decision was made, do you know what happened next? The students of this school, hundreds of them, walked out in protest. They decided that they weren't going to just sit in silence and accept this decision, that if they couldn't play the song, they were going to do something about it so people know how they stood and how they felt. And so they staged a walkout at the school, hundreds of them, trans flags, signs, all the things, so that the adults knew that everybody wasn't okay with this. And that's part of the work here on Queer News. Is I'm going to tell you what happened, but I'm also going to tell you that ain't all the story, right? The whole story is that people are not just sitting around taking this, okay? People got a lot of fight in them. And I love the pride, the trans flag at the meeting. They trying it, okay? But people aren't taking it laying down. I hope that those students get an opportunity to play that song that they practiced for months on. I hope they find a way to have their voices heard in that way. And a Mother of a Revolution, okay? Somebody go play it somewhere. That's all I'm saying. Now, in culture and entertainment, sad news this week, as we've heard the news of Jason Collins, the first NBA player to ever come out, passed away at the age of 47. As you all may or may not know, he was diagnosed with brain cancer, and it was very, very aggressive. He fought, and he even went overseas for treatment. And he went overseas knowing that it might not help him. But during an interview, he expressed his desire to help others who may be in his position, and his hope that whatever treatment and data that they received from him could help inform maybe a cure or a better result for somebody else in the future. And I think that this speaks to Jason's spirit and who he was. After he came out and he still got picked up in the NBA, he became an advocate unlike any other advocate. Jason was at the prides. He was grand marshals at the prides. He was on panels. He was at I know he came to Chicago for a Sky Pride night and sat on a panel, right? Jason was literally everywhere advocating for the last 13 years. He did that. And do y'all know, even though he did that work, there still hasn't been another NBA player to come out. Not one has come out. And we know, we know that there are plenty of gay and queer men in the NBA. But still, even after what Jason has done, what he did, not one NBA player has come out since then. Charles Barkley recently commented about this on ESPN, and he just talked about how Jason's courage is such an example. And yet here we are still not another NBA player has come out. And I really appreciate how Charles Barkley shows up as a comrade in these moments on these huge platforms, in these very male-dominated places. And he still advocates for the queers. Child, he even go to gay bars. He shows up during Pride Month. I mean, it's just so random. And I don't know Charles Barkley's why, but whatever. I'm good with it. Because when he speaks about the community, you know, he speaks in a way that they can hear it. Yeah. And I thought that was really dope. I want to read a little bit about what his family shared after his passing too. They said, "We are heartbroken to share that Jason, our beloved husband, son, brother, and uncle, has died after a valiant fight. Jason changed lives in unexpected ways and was an inspiration to all who knew him and to those who admired him from afar. We are grateful for the outpouring of love and prayers over the past 8 months, and for the exceptional medical care Jason received from his doctors and nurses. Our family will miss him dearly." Yeah, it was very aggressive cancer that he had. It was only 8 months at 47 years old. We will always remember Jason Collins and his courage. Now let's talk about this. We love art around here, okay? And this art is happening at the National Museum of African Art in Washington, D.C. It's called Here, Pride and Belonging in African Art. It is said to be the largest ever exhibit of African LGBTQ art ever. 60 plus pieces of artwork. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. I saw some of the pieces online, and it's going to be available. The exhibit's open through August. So many people travel to DC during the summertime. Okay. So if you're traveling to DC, make it a point to go see this exhibit. Yes, it took years to curate. Took years to put it together. There were a lot of delays, and yet they still got it done. Here, Pride and Belonging in African Art. Go check it out. It's in DC. Okay. Because if we don't show up, they'll think we don't want things like this, right? So we got to show up and be counted. Now, family, I also want to talk about this special story coming out of Chicago. Big ups to Windy City Times, which is our legacy newspaper here in the city. I have a beautiful partnership with them. Y'all know I curate Black Lines, which is the Black LGBTQ newsletter that goes out across the city. But then there's also a Latin A newsletter that comes out of Windy City Times that's documenting the Latin A LGBTQ experience here in the city. It's called In La Vida. And the homie Lou does the same job I do for Black Lines. Lou curates and writes the toppers for the In La Vida newsletter. And recently, Lou wrote an article about El Bar. It is a new Latino bar in North Halstead, also known as Boys Town. And it's Latino every night. It is centering our Latino siblings. And the owner, Miguel, said that he's doing this because we don't want just one night. You can go to a bar and maybe it's Latin night that night, and maybe you can go to another bar on a Thursday and it's Latin night that night. He said, we deserve a place to be centered all the time. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I realized on this podcast that we don't uplift the Latinx community enough. Okay, so when I saw this story, I said, we are talking about El Bar, so people can go check it out and enjoy. Yes, go support. We love to see this, especially in North Halstead, especially in Boys Town, that is so white. Okay, it just is what it is. And so to have a bar on that street on Halstead that's dedicated to Latino music, the Latino community, I think it's absolutely beautiful. They opened on St. Patrick's Day. All right. And so they've been doing their thing ever since. Go check them out. It's called El Bar. All right. I think you might have a good time. All right, family. Those are our stories for this week. I also want to share an experience I had on Friday. I was actually the MC for the Lambda Legal Gala that takes place here in Chicago for Bond Foster. If you don't know who Lambda Legal is, they are our LGBTQ civil rights law firm, pretty much, right? Any fight that's happening across the country, they are probably in the midst of that fight. And it's such an honor for them to ask me to participate as the MC. I did that. I actually helped to raise a lot of money during the giving part. They had a $50,000 match. The last number I saw was like $163,000 that we raised for Lambda Legal. And it was such a wonderful time. I'm sharing this to say we have to continue to support our own organizations. We're living in a time where all types of funding is being cut. Money is going to this war that nobody asked for, at billions and billions of dollars every single day. So if we want these organizations to survive, if we want these organizations to continue to do work on our behalf, then we have to do our part too. So if we're in a positions to give, we should, right? And y'all already know I'm from church. Okay, time, talent, and treasure. They need all three. And so if you don't have the treasure, you got time, maybe you got some talent that you can also give, because today our organizations need all of it. Yeah. So I just want to share that it was really a moment where I feel like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, that I was in my element, and it felt so good. Doing this work as an independent journalist and reporter, storyteller, whatever word you want to use, finding your voice is probably the toughest part, to be honest. And that night I felt like I had it. Like I had everything I needed to be great that night. And it was really beautiful. So family, thank you so much for joining me tonight on Queer News Live. You already know we're here every Monday night at 7 p.m., every Thursday at 12 p.m. Central. And on Thursday, we've got a guest, Mary Morton, is joining us on Thursday. So family, meet me here, beat me here, watch it again, share it with a friend, right? Because you already know we are Queer News done right.